Hello everybody. Thought I could have a little comeback by French Bear. So thanks for joining. This is our fireside chat for the Art of Sequencing workshop. So I thought we could do a little bit of hangout chat about sequencing, putting together yoga flows and routines that are specific and useful for you. And if you're leading people that you're working with, useful for the people that you're working with as well, and some more discussions. So I thought we could have a little bit of a fireside chat without the fireplace. Sorry, we don't have a fireplace in our Brooklyn apartment, but I did bring this cozy blanket and my nice rolly chair. So always thinking about you guys, trying to, kick up the production value a little bit around here. So I've got my cup of coffee here, so feel free to grab your beverage, whatever you like, and I thought we could do a little bit of chat and practice as well if it suits us. So thanks for joining. If you don't mind saying in the comments where you are joining from, French Bear is going to hang out down here for a little while. And any questions on sequencing, any topics that you would like to discuss, and maybe how you're feeling as well. So hello from India, amazing, my goodness. Thanks for being here. So I wrote down favorite asana and why? Ooh, very deep question. I love that one. So I wrote down some questions that came in on my very professional notebook that has lots of fun stickers and things like that. So I wrote down some questions that people have been asking over the last few weeks, and also simply over time that we've been leading workshops and trainings and really just talking in our community ways about sequencing. So South Aurora, Colorado, amazing. I thought you said South Africa, but South Aurora, amazing. My voice is calming. I don't know about that. Thank you, though. That's a very nice compliment. So, all right, welcome. Bonjour. Comment allez-vous? Arigato gozaimasu. All right, so let's dive in. Okay, so we'll go for about, hey, from the Netherlands. We'll go for about El Salvador. My friends are here. From Egypt, my goodness, we are literally all together here from around the world. Virginia. Technology can be so cool, as we know. So this reminds me of when I first started making YouTube videos back when YouTube really began, and I wanted to talk about this in a different kind of off of this topic but related topic later, and how exciting it was to simply create something literally in my living room or bedroom that I would hope would be useful for my friends back home in Illinois. And it was a way that I made friends in a lot of different countries all around the world. And as things started to grow and I got more opportunities to lead yoga and more people started coming and working with different companies, things like that, when I would get to physically go to different places around the world and meet people and hear stories of just connection through yoga, maybe some of these silly YouTube videos. I love when I hear from a young girl or a young boy that is in maybe their early 20s. I hear this quite a bit, which is makes me just feel so good. I know if you lead yoga, the sort of reward of leading yoga is helping other people feel better or being a tiny bit of guidance in somebody's self-transformation, which I love. So quite often I hear from sort of people in their early 20s and they say, I grew up with you. You were in my bedroom when I was 16 and I was breaking up with this boy or this girl and there was drama and I just found your YouTube video to help me feel better, and that literally makes my day. So if you're out there thinking about leading yoga, or you are leading yoga or being a leader in some capacity, from my perspective, we're all leaders. I mean, by way of how the world works, we all share our thoughts, our ideas, our passion, maybe just through words, but maybe through a specific form that we choose to use. My form is yoga, obviously. and some people catch on and follow us around, and we're following other people and we're putting out our information, we're consuming information. So we're all essentially leaders. We have that potential. So a quick little story. A few years ago, Mike and I were walking down the street in Soho, and a young girl started kind of looking at me out of the corner of her eye, and I could tell she recognized me, and I had this feeling it might be from yoga, or maybe, I'm a third cousin or something, who knows. But her mother, who was closer to, my mother's age, maybe a little bit younger than my mother, looked at me like, why is my young daughter looking at you? So it was this really funny moment, and I kind of knew how it was going to play out, which I thought was really kind of nice. So the girl came up to me and she said, oh my gosh, I'm 18 years old, and a couple years ago I started doing yoga with you on YouTube, and I was going through a really hard time. And she just started telling me all of this, sort of personal stuff that was really touching and heartwarming. And, doing yoga in her room really helped her feel better. And her mother turns to me and says, who are you and why do you know my daughter? And I could tell that this moment was coming. And I remember thinking, oh, it's from the internet. Don't worry, Mom, your daughter just watches me on the internet, totally safe. And I know how mothers, how people feel about the internet also. So now I said, I lead yoga, I have some videos online, and they're free, and they're very PG-13, and that's that. So, but I thought that was really cool to just help people in that way. So I know if you're here on a Saturday afternoon, you're also thinking about these ideas and feeling that reward of helping people in a certain way. So for me, that's the best part. That's the really best part. Seeing somebody, and whether they're immediate right after your class, they come up to you and say, oh, I feel so much better. Then they tell you their thing that's happening with them, and you say, awesome job, and you kind of encourage each other, and that's really such a nice thing. So that's why I sort of do what I do, and I'm really happy that I've landed in doing something that I can communicate as myself, and I can be myself and share this thing, this process of moving in harmony, not just yoga, but moving in harmony through all of the movements of yoga in a way that helps people feel better. So for me, that's really the main sort of arc of sequencing. It's this. The reason I'm doing it is not to be good at yoga poses. The reason I'm doing yoga and also leading yoga is to help myself feel better and help other people feel better. I will post this on YouTube, I hope, if this lets me save this at the end. My goodness. Okay, so chronic pain. I'm seeing a little bit of this. That's actually on my kind of DIY paper to talk about prescriptive yoga for whether it's pain or injury or anxiety or stress, or creating more mobility in certain body parts or more strength, things like that, and how to kind of tailor our sequencing to point in these directions. That's something I'd love to get to in a little bit too. But I think, overall, it's really important to reflect on, well, why am I doing this? Why bother? So I love that meditation. Who am I? What do I want? How can I serve? And such a great reflection. Can be different answers that come up every day. It's such a good practice if you add that in your meditation, just like you would add some, vegetables in your pasta. Only good things can happen from that. So I love that for myself. It helps to really ground me and also direct myself to do all the things that I love to do. Even the last few weeks here, deciding to do a silly morning, it's silly to me. It's in the broad scheme of everything that's happening in the world, all the tragedy and sadness and, what's going on. But, that one thing for me, I felt is a simple thing that I can do for myself to feel better and invite other people to feel better. So every day, 8 a.m. Eastern time is a process that feeds that goal, or that supports that goal of feeling better for myself and for anybody else that wants to join in. So I think that's really useful in terms of overarching self-direction, but also in terms of sequencing, right? So many yoga teachers, I feel, get stuck in sequencing based on trying to be good at the yoga poses, trying to really work into this triangle and open up the hips, and we're going to build up into this master pose, and the sky will part and the angels will sing, and that all may happen and be awesome, but even if you're building up to a certain position or a certain form in your class, having an underlying reason why you're doing it, even if it's just for you, it doesn't have to work its way into the language. But if you know why you're leading in this way, then and you're really clear about that with yourself, and the people that are joining your classes will ultimately feel that. I love the sort of natural law of we lead the experience of how we feel about ourselves, and that's kind of baseline. That's really it. So we teach each other how to feel based on how we're walking around feeling, and that's kind of, whoa, mind-blowing for me on a daily basis. You know, I can be really good, really proficient at yoga, really great at explaining primary colors to Daisy or teaching her, you know, how to sound out words on a page. But ultimately, I'm teaching her, and I'm teaching anybody when I'm in that role, how I feel. Somebody in front of you is essentially modeling how you feel through the lens of the information that you're giving, if that makes any sense. So that's super, super important. And also incredible information to remember that your job ultimately is to take care of yourself, and do all of the things that you need to do to take care of yourself before you present yourself in a leadership role. So kind of all the time, which is really cool. So how you get up and sit down, how you move around the room, how you think, all of these things. So we can either choose to be obsessed with sort of a false idea of perfection and obsessing over an outside-in alignment, which a lot of us kind of just get hiccuped along the way of trying to get into the splits or trying to do that handstand, instead of moving your whole body in harmony toward the process of those forms, which results in a much more holistic, feeling good approach along the way. If you're only going to be happy when you do that pose, you're probably not going to be happy when you do that pose. And unfortunately, that's not a good process for success and feeling better. So hopefully that's all kind of cool and just stuff to chat about. A really relevant message for you right now, people mirroring how you feel. Yeah, so cool. And I think it's just such a huge reminder that our job is literally to take care of ourselves so we feel better. I think of this when I kind of, am around other people in a yoga class. And, if you notice, if you're in a yoga class a lot and you go to the same group a lot, whether you're the leader, the teacher, or somebody in the class, you usually choose the place to be that makes you feel most comfortable. So if you're the leader, obviously in the front of the room and cruising around and all of that. But if you're a person in the class, if you go to the studio a lot, you probably always put your mat in the back left corner, whatever it is. And that's because it feels good to you, or the front right corner, whatever it is. And we ultimately go to those places that feel comforting for us, that feel familiar and support the things that we need, even if it's subconsciously. So I just love that. Something really great to think about as you go. So let's do a little bit of chat about prescriptive routines and also working with the same group over time. 2 questions. And so much to do today, so much to do. We're going to do this again tomorrow, so that'll be fun if you guys want to join, no pressure. But I'll put this up on the IGTV and also YouTube. You can figure that out as well. So prescriptive routines. Again, a simple routine if you're working with somebody who's stressed or anxious or has hamstring issue, whatever it is. How do we build routines and sequences to work for these specific things? My sort of perspective in this is the yoga pose doesn't heal you. How you move heals you. So of course there may be some small or big variations in the forms that you're doing, but mainly the overall approach should always be in harmony with you. So it doesn't mean that it's boring because it's the same. It's exciting because you're always going out to visit that ocean and looking at the waves rolling in and rolling out. It's exciting because you're always walking into the forest and being moved by the trees. It's interesting because you're always being drawn inward to yourself instead of being drawn outward, trying to captivate your audience by tricking them into kind of being excited about fancy poses in a way. It's not that you can't do interesting and different poses, it's that while you do all of your variety and your sequencing, you're still keeping the focus inward, you're still keeping the focus on yourself. So don't be fooled by all of the extremities happening, keeping your attention inward. So hopefully that's really cool. Another kind of really big, easy way to change sequences for different people and for different needs is to change your base. So our home base in yoga for a lot of people is downward dog. That's where you would begin a new phrase and it would be the end of a phrase before you start with something else. So for a lot of people, let's be honest, down dog is challenging, or we would build up to down dog. You can do a whole class that down dog is kind of that bigger moment as you go through your nice bell curve there. You can do a whole class where your home base is all fours, so hands and knees, right? So much more simple. Doesn't mean that it's any less interesting, right? Or any sort of less than a class that you would begin that base in down dog. Or standing can be a nice base, or sitting can be a nice base. So you can do a whole lot simply sitting on the couch, sitting on the chair, and you don't need to be isolating your arm movements and things like this. Whatever you're doing, whether you're sitting, you're standing, you're in handstand, you're in down dog, you're always moving your whole self together with your breath. Big inhale. Long exhale. Right? So, excuse me. If you're doing something just simple on a chair, and I thought I could kind of scooch back and do that with you guys. Welcome to the show. I thought it'd be fun here too. So, chair yoga doesn't have to be, again, just what can I do with my arms and what can I do with my legs and just isolating sort of here up as part of you. You still have a whole part. Whatever's going on with you, you're a whole being. You're not arms, you're not legs, you're not just a neck going side to side or shoulders kind of going up and down. And when you start to really approach sequence in this whole harmony way, more is possible, more good things happen. So I want to take you guys through just a simple, very brief, just a few moments of a routine that you can do sitting on a chair. And if you're leading often, this is such a cool kind of thing to get comfortable with. If you have the chance to walk into a meeting someday, or if you're leading meetings on Zoom, you could take your colleagues through this or take your family through this, everybody just sitting in their chair. And again, it's not this isolated, oh, I have to do yoga now, I have to stretch, and I have to do my shoulders, and I have to do my back, and then I have to do this, right? Let's start to move in a whole body harmony way that everybody can feel better from the get-go. And I love doing this in meetings. Any meeting that I'm invited to, I guess I kind of get a free pass because I'm the weird yoga person. But I always just do this. It's a few minutes. Nobody feels like they've been doing any weird yoga. They feel more connected to themselves, more connected to the material that they want to present. And it does something really magical to the room where people feel like their guard is down and they can still assert their agenda, but not in a fear-based way. So again, if you have the chance in any situation to do this, I've never had a bad result. So again, just super simple. And this is just sitting from wherever you are. Yourself, be comfortable here, move around, however it's best for you. Maybe a little roll around, side to side or forward and back. Eventually finding a nice centered place. Take a big inhale. Long exhale. Big inhale, reach your arms out. Your palms together. Plug in toward your center. Big inhale. Long exhale. Relax your arms down. Big inhale, lift up. Easy, gentle twist over toward your right side. Big inhale. Long exhale. All the way back toward your middle. Big inhale. Long exhale toward that left side. Easy. Big inhale. Long exhale. And all the way back toward your middle. Let your head and neck drop through your center. Maybe letting your elbows rest on your thighs a bit here. Your head and neck go. Gently round yourself all the way back up. Big inhale, bring your arms up. Bring Your palms together. Plug back toward your center. Big inhale. Long exhale. Relax your hands back down. Simply notice how you feel. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and have a look around. All right, so I feel pretty good right now. Well, you feel pretty good right now. Yeah, chair yoga, right? So what do we usually think of when we see chair yoga or have taught chair yoga in the past? We think of limitations, right? We think, well, it's somebody that can't stand up, they can't do a down dog, basically like forget about it, just drop them off at the nursing home, right? What are you gonna do, right? So that kind of mindset, I know that sounds really horrible, but we often come at limitations with an attitude of limitation, right? Instead of, well, we're always moving everything we've got in every way we can, and if you can breathe, you can move your whole body altogether. It doesn't matter if you're confined to a chair, or if you choose to be in a chair at the moment, or if you are lying down or standing up or anything. We can treat everybody essentially equally this way and not address limitations as limitations. We can address everything working all together all at once. So my friend Sam Berlind, he's got a lot of experience with teaching shiatsu as well as his own private practice with clients for the last 30, 40 years, long time. And he tells this story, I'm totally butchering it, about an old teacher of his telling this story of a client came to them and, with a laundry list of problems. My elbow hurts, my head hurts, my back hurts, my shoe hurts, whatever it is, everything hurts. And the ancient Japanese shiatsu master says, grabs the toe and says, what about this one? How does that feel? And sorry, my accent's terrible. And the person says, oh, that's okay. He's like, little toe, work fine, everything good, So I love this approach of, go with what's working for you and move your whole body together in harmony. So what we're trying to avoid, and this is, again, overall topic of sequencing, is making poses the goal. If a pose is the goal, either you can do it, yay, good for you, and who cares, or you can't do it, and maybe someday you'll be able to do it. So it just puts people in two categories, here and here, but nothing here, nothing in a harmony, nothing, no middle way there. So often we see, I've been seeing chair yoga on Instagram lives and everything, over the years, and it's always very stiff, very rigid, and very, right hand here, left hand here, lift up in your spine, twist your shoulders around, look over to the side, and then you come back around, you isolate the body parts. I'm rushing through this because it doesn't feel good. Just do the arms up and down. Maybe you can do something like this and up and down. There's nothing wrong with those movements, but it lacks breath, which means it lacks everything. And, you can take a yoga class and go inhale, lift, exhale, twist, inhale, lift, exhale, twist, right? And ignore yourself, or you can inhale, lift, exhale, twist. So it's coming from the middle. So the movement's coming from the very center of you, your hara, your chi, your everything. Inhale and exhale. That way you're moving your center the entire time, which is creating and supporting well-being instead of isolating your center only when you're doing core focused movements. And then you're stuck with this weird destructive habit of clenching your muscles when you'd like to move instead of literally moving your whole body all together all at once. So hopefully that's kind of interesting from a chair yoga perspective there. All right, what do we have else on the routine? You guys like that one? That was cool, right? So chair yoga, you can do that with your Zoom people and all that stuff. So same thing with a prescriptive routine. So simply changing your base, whether it's downward dog, for a lot of people that can move in all directions pretty easily, all fours. And again, you can do something that has a base of all fours. It's really good for somebody who can do all of the crazy things too, to back off and to learn how to move better and be focused on moving better by you simply doing it yourself. And it's really important to have the beginner's mindset of, well, I can always do better. Not in a bad way, like, oh, I'm terrible, I'm gonna be good someday, but in this way of, well, I'm taking really good care of myself, and that's always leading to somewhere better, and somewhere where I feel better, and somewhere where I can help other people feel even better. I can be more clear, not just in my language, but how I'm moving, and only good things can happen when we put ourselves in that mindset of improving there. So hopefully that's really a good inspiration for prescriptive classes. So changing that base from down dog either to all fours or to standing or lying down. You know, you can do a whole class lying down, being your center, moving all around, twisting, rolling, and having the movement come from your center there too. Cool. Yes, exactly. Somebody said, every time I try to encourage people to do yoga, they say, I can't do blank. Of course, you know, it's the age-old thing. I can't do yoga because I can't touch my toes. I can't do this pose. So the moment I love doing this on the street, you know, before the pandemic. I remember seeing our neighbor, this guy that Mike went to college with, lives next door, and we just kind of discovered this. He was walking down the street, and Mike's like, LL, what's going on? You live here. So I met his fiance, and we were talking about yoga, and she said, oh, I know you, you're that yoga person that LL talks about. But she had never done yoga with me online, so, you know, totally fair criticism to be like, you're that yoga weirdo. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know, like, you know, I can explain to her, yeah, the reason I got into yoga is because, you know, my friends, you know, back home were a little stressed or whatever. I started to learn more and make it more about you. And she was like, it sounds interesting. But, you know, talk is cheap. It's really cheap, you guys. So I said, all right. And I just did that. I didn't say, let's do some yoga together right now. I will teach you some things. I just went, and rolled my hips a little side to side. And she did it as well. She said, oh, that feels good. So then from there, literally on the street in our jeans and sneakers and whatever, I just kept going with that. I was like, big inhale, reach your arms up. Bring your palms together. Plug in. We did a few movements. We did a tree pose. We did a chair. We did the breathing together, and boom, there you go. So one person at a time, not by explaining. We can explain all day long. It's so boring, you guys. Or we can show by example. And that's really, really cool. So I love this idea of, you know, yoga has misconceptions because it's true. You know, there's a lot of exclusivity in yoga, and, you know, you see a picture of somebody else's body doing some crazy thing, and you think yoga is about doing that crazy thing, and you either feel like you want to do that or you feel like you can't do it, and sort of there's no middle ground, there's no connection to the self. So very, very cool if you can start to embody a middle way in yourself where you don't have to walk around explaining to people. People are drawn to you because you feel so darn good and balanced in your body that people want to know what you're doing to take care of yourself. And from there, you'll always have people that want to come and experience with you. I love this idea of just that. If you know, again, for me, that's my personal goal, to feel better, to help other people feel better. So from my perspective, I'm not interested in converting people to do yoga. I'm interested in helping people feel better. And yoga happens to be the tool that I use. And, you know, just like you pull out that, you know, screwdriver or whatever from your toolkit and say, all right, let's do this thing that I've been down this road for a long time and I can help with you. And it's really great. It really works. It's really easy, but it only works when it feels like you. And I think that's so crucial. Yoga doesn't work when you're trying to just do the poses. That's gymnastics. And, you know, unless you're a professional gymnast, it's kind of inappropriate to be doing gymnastics, unless it's for fun, unless you just want to do, you know, certain movements with your body and you're having a good time. But again, I don't think it's really about like, is this yoga? Is this not yoga? You can use the forms to feel better in your body, and feeling better is a much more worthy goal in my experience than trying to be good at yoga, if that makes sense. So, you know, if you ask 10 people why they do yoga, most people say to feel better. You know, in some capacity, it's about feeling better. It's about connecting to themselves. It's about de-stressing, getting focused, more creativity, balancing their body, whatever it is. It's some version of feeling better. So as leaders, if we can kind of keep imagining that, keep dreaming on that, then we can be in a good space to create the container that holds that for other people in a way. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the rules there's rules of sequencing. So things don't work if they don't work, right? You can't just have a good feeling inside and say, everybody just feel good because I feel good and enjoy feeling good, and that's a class. If you have a group of people that want to do that with you, awesome. I haven't met these people. I'm sure it sounds like a great time. But the rules of sequencing, as far as moving your whole body together in harmony, are the rules of nature. They're the rules of your breath. So for me, I love thinking about my breath as my boss, right? If my breath says so, then I believe it. If my breath says, then I believe it as well. So what does that mean? So as far as movement goes, let's just have a little bit of an experiment here. So just sit wherever you are, comfortable. Doesn't matter. It can be on the floor, on your ruly chair, whatever it is. Let your whole self soften a bit. See if you can check that you're movable. Maybe add a little roll around side to side or forward and back. And bring yourself to a nice neutral place. Take a big inhale. Long exhale. Twice more, big inhale. Long exhale. Once more, big inhale. Long exhale. You're ready, gently open your eyes. Magic, once again, my goodness. Oh, so what happened? Okay, I'll tell you what happened. You can tell me what happened. Please feel free to comment and all of that. I love these comments coming in. And feel free to ask questions too. I think that can work as well as a little thing down here, a feature, an Instagram feature. Okay, so what happens is when you're soft enough to be movable, when you allow yourself to be nature, essentially, when you breathe in, your breath takes you somewhere, right? Up, out in this direction. And then when you breathe out, there's a moment of pure magic at the top, and then there's this coming in. So we become like everything else in nature. Big inhale opens. Long exhale in. So, a lot of our friends, Strala friends and family have kind of come up with this idea of a jellyfish. Big inhale out. Easy in. So as far as movement goes, it's not quite fair to think an inhale takes you up and an exhale takes you down, although those are directions you're moving in. But what happens, it's more like a circle or more like a sphere or a rainbow. So if you're reaching up here, and then you're reaching so far up with your breath in, that maybe you run out of up and you tip over to the side. Big inhale lifts you up. Easy exhale. It does bring you down, but that's also in. Let's try the other side. Big inhale lifts you up. Exhale brings you in, also down. Big inhale lifts you up. So much that you run out of up and tip over. Big inhale brings you up. Easy, back down. So breath becomes boss instead of synchronized swimming or matching one breath to one movement. So I remember being in a yoga class like 20 years ago, I don't know, and it was sort of a lead flow-ish class. I don't remember what it was called, but it was sort of, everybody always felt behind because it was inhale plank, exhale chaturanga, inhale up dog, exhale down dog. And the way that we were all doing that together was more about the movements being precise together than following our breath, right? And it wasn't that the yoga teacher wasn't telling us when to breathe. It was in the style of the movement. We had to be here on the exhale, and then here on the inhale, and there on the exhale, right? It was more percussive of move, 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 instead of breathe in and move. Breathe out and move. Breathe in. Breathe out. Right? Which becomes nice. It becomes moving in harmony with yourself. So again, it's not that you can't just match your movements with your breath. What that means is it's going to be harder in a less productive way. So you will fatigue your muscles more, which will make you feel tricked into working really hard, but you will become less capable, which is kind of the tricky part, right? We feel exhausted, we feel sweaty after an experience like that. It doesn't mean that yoga is bad and this is good and this kind of yoga is bad and this kind of yoga is good. It's more about our approach. So, knowing what I know now about movement, I could go back into that class, even if the teacher is saying, inhale this, exhale this, and I will look just a smidge different than my neighbor perhaps, because I'll be following my own breath. I'll be trusting myself more. So you can go and take all the crazy classes that you want. You can do, even something like a Spartan race or CrossFit or something in this way. And I had the chance to test this out. I was a little bit nervous. Years ago, when I was working with Reebok, there's a few videos on YouTube. I think I have on my YouTube channel, yoga in fun places. What do you call it? When you put the videos together, I don't know, a playlist. Sorry. And I have a bunch of those fun things. So I got to go to a CrossFit class. And I was a little bit nervous that I was going to tweak myself out or try to, be pushed by the coach and whatever. I was trying to be positive about this whole thing. But then I learned, I can apply everything that I'm already doing to everything else. And it doesn't matter what the coach is saying. The coach was actually really lovely and nice and a great CrossFit coach. He wasn't encouraging us to, injure ourselves or something like that you kind of fear. But I learned that, I'm not going to lift the heaviest weight, but if I know the movement, I can do it really well for a really long time and not be worn out as much as somebody that's actually stronger, faster, and bigger than me. So we had this one where it was called wall balls. So we had to squat and then do the ball against the wall a bunch of times. And I was kind of jamming on this, going like, okay, what's my breath here? Inhale, lift, exhale, down. Inhale, lift, exhale, down. But not matching, just... right? So I was just doing that over and over and over. And the coach was like, what's going on? You're going like a cockroach. I was crazy. And I'm like, just going nuts. And it's really fun for me. And then when that was over and we had to go to the next little setup, all of my classmates just boomed the ball down, moved over and kind of stomped over, using their aggression as boss instead of the breath as boss. So, me with everything that I care about and practice, I just drop the ball and move from my hips, from my middle, and run to the next thing and slide down. And I'm doing these, whatever it is, the rowing machine. And I'm there by a long shot faster than everybody. And again, it's not that I'm faster or stronger or bigger. It's that I'm using nature. I'm using the principles of moving really well to do everything. And the same kind of thing happened in a Spartan race, actually, in Mexico City. I made a bunch of my Strala friends join me. They were really mad at me, but we ended up having a really good time. And it was wild. We had to jump over fire and climb walls and go under barbed wire and walk with all of our clothes on under this muddy lake, and then swim at one point, which was kind of scary for me because everybody was kind of grabbing each other, and I got a little bit panicked. And then I remembered, okay, I'm just going to try to slide around and not get drowned, but move through this as quickly as I can with as much efficiency that I can and drop the extra tension. So that was really fun. There was even a moment of we had to drag a sandbag up a hill and down a hill, and all of the women, it was all women race, which was really cool, were dragging it. And I started dragging it and my back started hurting because I don't do this kind of exercise a whole lot. So I thought, well, what'll happen? I'm going to use French bear here. What'll happen if I bend down and use my middle to bring this sandbag up on my shoulder, on my back, and then I just leaned forward and kind of cruised up the hill where my middle became my center that way. I cruised up and cruised down really fast, and we ended up doing really, really well in that race. So that was really, really fun. So breath using momentum still always to work on muscles. Yeah, so this is great. So one kind of huge misconception is, well, how do I get the workout? How do I get the burn? And, I think, again, talk is really cheap. You have to experience moving your body along with your breath. And I don't think it's important to just say, trust me and do it. But try it out, moving your body with your breath and seeing what you can accomplish. And it's always going to be more than if you clench your muscles and try to only get this burn. You'll burn out faster and you'll deplete yourself faster, and you won't be able to build that healthy range of balance between strength and mobility. So this applies to everything. And the coolest thing I love about moving, letting your breath move your body, is anybody that you admire that has some form of awesomeness that they're doing in the world, is moving as efficiently as they can through their work. Whether it's Michael Jordan playing basketball decades ago, it's not that he's clenching his muscle to get the ball in the hoop. He's practicing the same movement. He was practicing the same movement thousands and thousands, if not a million times, to find the easiest way to do this thing, so he could make it easier and easier and easier, so he could accomplish it more, have more endurance, and outlast all of his opponents, and have the element of awareness so he could understand what was going on, instead of tricking himself into working really hard by just clenching their muscles. And we all have this experience, a very human experience, to force, push, and struggle, and feel like we're doing such a good job, instead of changing our process to moving in harmony with ourselves, and then seeing how much we can accomplish that way. Yes, powering through. I know it's not fair. We've all sort of been told the opposite, really. But you can pick up any East Asian book. You can watch your grandmother that for some reason is healthy in her 80s and 90s and living simply. So you can find examples in your own life of people who are moving really efficiently and essentially getting a lot done and feeling good in the process. So it doesn't have to be, that famous person that you admire or somebody like that. It can literally be that there's got to be somebody that who's doing a version of this, maybe not in yoga, but in something else. So hopefully that's really, really useful. Okay, and one last thing, somebody was asking, how do you avoid copying and be original? So I think this is really kind of useful to talk about as well. So when you're moving in harmony in all the ways that we're talking about here within sequencing and movement in general, we're using the same principles of nature, right? So you don't want to just abandon the law of nature and make something else up to be original, right? To be a little bit different, right? To be a little bit different, I'm going to be a little less good at this thing that I know, that I practice, that I work really hard at to do. So I think it's really important to analyze the system that you're using for all of the things that you're doing and seeing if it's working really well. And I just know from my own experience and talking to friends and Strala friends and beyond friends around the world, of when you practice moving in harmony with yourself, that does something really cool that sets you up. And I don't mean to sound like kind of rainbows and unicorns, but it's a little bit of it gives you connection to your own creativity and your own intuition. So, I love getting together. This is why I love in-person experiences over a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because people start to, the wheels start to churn, the light bulbs start to come. And so many people I've seen just have this idea that they want to do that comes up in this process of moving in alignment with themselves. They say, oh gosh, I really want to go home and do this thing, or I've decided that this is the path that I want to do. It's not abandoning what we're doing together as a group, but the process of moving in harmony with yourself will start those light bulbs off. So I think that's really, really, really cool. So as far as the Strala community goes, we're all in the same process of moving really well, of moving in harmony with ourselves, moving efficiently, all the same stuff that we all kind of talk about in the same way. We're not copying each other, we're recognizing the laws of nature, right? The sky is blue, well, at least it looks blue to our eyes, right? But what that does is once we get in that process, it's like math, it's like software. We're using math, you don't need to make up new math. It's how you do the math. Do you do it eloquently or do you do it messy? How do you do it that makes you you? And that's what's so awesome and cool. And when you have a process like this that works, that is nature, then it's impossible to copy each other because we are unique, we are individual, and we're so much the same as well. So all of those unique ideas will essentially pour out of you. We all have the experience of being copied in the other way, right? When you see somebody Maybe you were in 6th grade and somebody went and got the same sweater you did. Maybe that's flattering or whatever. Or, I remember when I started making YouTube videos, a lot of people that I didn't know were starting making videos with the same titles, and they would wear the same shirt that I had and say the same things and, do these things. And, I don't think that's all terrible. It's not great. It is copying in a way, but, essentially, finding a process that is nature, that helps you connect with your own creativity, will move you further away from copying and further away from being bothered, I think, which is more important when other people copy you, which is awesome, not to be, worried about that kind of stuff all the time. So when you are moving in a process and you're connected in harmony with yourself, you will always be original. You'll have a plethora of ideas. There's going to be no shortage of you in there. So, Sinead O'Connor said, there's that song, "The Universe is Inside." You're not going to run out of stars. You're not going to run out of ideas. You're not going to run out of variations on themes to express them. So your unique self will always come through. I think it's really important to not try to change your process to be unique, but allow your uniqueness to arise out of the process that works. And here we're talking about moving together in harmony as your whole self. So hopefully that was cool and useful. I'm going to click this little button. I see one question here. I'm not sure if I'm doing this correctly. In some settings like a gym, we were asked not to touch people. How do we make connections in those settings? This is a great question. So how to make connections without touch, right? A lot of us are experiencing this right now. But from our perspective, from my perspective, and this is echoed by so many friends of mine and Strala friends, connection is touch is simply on the continuum of connection. So here, we're all in this digital setting together. So I'm thinking about connection and how I am. Am I comfortable in myself? Am I movable and wiggleable? Am I relaxed? Did I have a good lunch? I did have a good lunch. We had some cauliflower and carrots and yogurt and granola. We had a bit of a smorgasbord, as I say it over here. So have I done all of the things to make myself comfortable so I can be with you, making good connection? I added this little blanket here to make myself comfortable, right? So all of these things, if I'm comfortable, I'm automatically making good connections, right? That stage is set in a way, and that's awesome, right? We experience that in life all the time. So already that's this connection. And then I think about, specifically within leading yoga, it's like a dance. It's like a partner dance. Even if you can't touch your partner, if you're in a gym and there's a rule or something, or maybe you just feel like, touch in a certain instance isn't appropriate, or maybe, you just want to take that off the table for a while and try. And thinking about your partner is where you put your body in relationship with them, how you move around the room, how you speak. Are you relaxed when you stand next to somebody? Bend your knees and breathe with them. Just one quick story. We did an experiment in one of our advanced trainings that I think was so cool that I just incorporate this in any chance I get in a workshop. And we're working on touch, we're working on proper body placement, connection, breathing, shiatsu, all of that stuff. But we back out of that a little bit, and we have one exercise where half the people practice on their mats, and I just give them a little bit of suggestion to do any position that's kind of, one stable place. It's pretty relaxing where, somebody could touch them if they came by. Maybe it's child's pose or pigeon or some kind of easy position where they can be pretty stationary. And then the other group walks around and they make good connections not by touching. So they walk around. If they feel drawn to somebody, they walk on over, they find the right body position, whether it's standing or kneeling or sitting next to this person. I'll just do a quick little thing here with French bear. So say you've got French bear right here, right? And he's hanging out and he's doing, let's say he's doing a pigeon pose. So there he is doing a pigeon pose. So I'm not gonna touch him in this pigeon pose. I'm gonna come by and make a good connection. So I'm probably not going to stand right here because that will feel creepy to Mr. French Bear. I'm probably not going to stand in front of him because he'll probably think, are you going to step on my head? Or he's going to feel the energy coming there. But I might stand about here, connect with myself. right? And the cool thing that happens in our workshops is French Bear, or the person here, always reports a very strong feeling of support even when not touched. Oftentimes a more strong feeling of support when not touched than when being came into closely and very kind of tentatively. This is kind of worse, right? Is this okay for you, a tentative touch? So I know this isn't a workshop about connection here, but that's something to think about, creating those good body positions around the person that you're making a connection with, whether it's physical touch or not. And just to kind of take it one step further, if I was going to come and connect with French Bear through touch, I would see, well, maybe that's a good idea. I'd feel that with a gut instinct and come in like an airplane coming down for a landing, so I'm not sneaking up on him. Breathing with myself, and then maybe I lean my whole body over to lean on French Bear in a relaxed way and make sure I'm movable and wiggleable. And then if you're in a workshop setting, you'd have an opportunity to get a little feedback from French Bear. How did that go for you? Was that good? Right? So you can practice this with, if you're with somebody at home now, or, animals are great too. They'll never lie. Your roommates, your partners might be polite. So, I think it's a really nice thing to practice, making those connections. So hopefully this was really cool. We'll do this again tomorrow. Again, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, and back for yoga at 8 a.m. Eastern time in the morning. Rise and shine, or good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from, Europe and Asia. And send me some more questions so I can write them down in my very professional notebook here. And we'll dive into some more tomorrow. But again, if you want to join in this Art of Sequencing workshop, you can check the link in the bio. All of the things on our online streaming library are there as well at the link, and you can check that out. Loads of free practices in yoga and Tai Chi with Mike and shiatsu with Sam Berlind, and I'm the doll that gets leaned on in a way, which is amazing. And the Art of Sequencing Intensive is half off through the end of April, so we're happy to extend that to help out. And always feel free to email us if you have any questions. We have longer online trainings. A lot of people are jumping in and diving into our teacher training leadership programs as well. We have 100-hour, 200-hour, and a lot of at-home retreats, which a lot of people are enjoying right now as well. So let us know how we can help. And hopefully this is fun for you guys. This is really fun for me too. So you guys are amazing. I'm going to check. There's one more question. I just want to make sure this doesn't really go away. Microphone type. Microphone, you mean the microphone that I have on? Okay, this one is a dinosaur. This is something that we use for our other camera shoots, but it also works just fine with an iPhone. So if you guys want to know this, a lot of people actually have been asking. This is just what this is. I think there's better things on the market now. This isn't special or anything. But as far as leading classes in person, unless there's a special circumstance where it's your big event class for your brand and it's 1,000 people or whatever, you usually don't need one of these things. So pretty cool. So amazing. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for being here. Please take care of yourselves, take care of those around you, check in with your friends and your family. I've been reconnecting with so many people that I don't really talk to super regularly, not for any bad reason, but it's just really nice to have that contact with people. So if you think of somebody, I think it's a really nice thing to do, to reach out and just say hi and trust that intuition that they popped into your mind for a reason. So love you guys. Take care of yourself and see you in the morning for yoga.